Good day everyone. So I'm going to discuss about things in Philippine history, fiscal policy from 1946 to present. Fiscal policy is how a government uses spending and taxes to influence the economy. It aims to create stable growth, full employment, and control prices. Governments change spending and taxes to boost or slow the economy, manage inflation, and adjust how wealth is shared. Fiscal policy means the government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence the nation's economy. There are two types of fiscal policy, which is expansionary fiscal policy and contractionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy designed to boost the economy, while contractionary fiscal policy when the government either cuts spending or raises taxes. Topic 1. Post-war Reconstruction and Early Challenges, 1946 to 1960. The impact of World War II in the Philippines economy was effectively disrupted as Manila, the capital, was razed to the ground while the rest of the Philippines was relatively untouched. But the highly agriculture-based economy was disrupted. The United States may have declared the Philippines independent, but as the country needed rehabilitation funds from the United States, the dependency of the Philippines to the Americans was an opportunity to be taking advantage of the former colonial administrators. The economic situation was so problematic that by 1949, there was a severe lack of funds in many aspects of governance, such as the military and educational sectors. No efforts were made to improve tax collection, and the United States advised the adoption of direct taxation. The administration of President Manuel Rojas declined the proposal because it did not want to alienate its allies in Congress. So let's go to the first President, Manuel Rojas. The first president of the Third Philippine Republic. On 1946, the economic situation was problematic: low production and decreasing job, weak education system. Elpidio Quirino, during his time, to the implementation of import and exchange controls that led to import substitution development. The policy allowed for the expansion of a viable manufacturing sector that reduced economic dependence on imports. His time is the drive for economic growth. Measures were also passed which included higher corporate tax rates that increased twofold compared to 1948, the year when Quirino first assumed presidency. While the succeeding presidencies of Magsaysay, Garcia, and Macapagal promised to study tax structure and policy of the country through the creation of a tax commission in 1959 by means of Republic Act No. 2211 to make way for a more robust and efficient tax collection scheme. Post-war fiscal policy remained regressive, characterized by the overburdening of the lowest classes, while the landed elite who held business interests were in Congress to ensure the taxes would not be leveled them who belonged to the higher classes of the society. The period of the post-war republic also saw a rise in corruption from 1959 to 1968. Congress did not pass any tax legislation despite the important changes in the economy and the vested interests of the Filipino businessmen. In Congress hold benefits in many instances such as the rejection of taxes on imports, Indirect taxation still contribute to 3/4 of tax revenues, and the Omnibus Tax Law of 1969 did not increase the ratio of income tax to generate tax revenues. Collection of tax remained poor, tax structure was still problematic, and much of the public funds were lost to corruption, which left the government incapable of funding projects geared towards development. So under Ferdinand Marcos Sr., tax system remained regressive during the latter part of the Marcos year 1981 to 1985. The tax system was still heavily dependent on indirect taxes, which made up 70% of total tax collections. The tax system also remained unresponsive. Taxes grew at an average annual rate of 15% and generated a low tax yield. So, YAC's effort defined as the ratio between the share of the actual tax collection and gross domestic product and predictable taxable capacity was at a low 10.7%. As Corazon Aquino took the helm of the government after the EDSA revolution, she reformed the tax system through 1988 tax reform program. The aim was to improve the responsiveness of the tax system, promote equity by ensuring the similarly situated individuals and firms bear the same tax burden, promote growth by withdrawing or modifying taxes that reduce incentives, work or produce, and improve tax administration by simplifying the tax system and promoting tax compliance. A major reform in the tax system introduced under the term of Aquino was the introduction of the Value Added Tax, or VAR, which the following: uniform rate 10% on sale of domestic and imported goods and services and 0% on export and foreign currency denominated sales. The VAT was signed in 1986 and put to effect in 1988. While it was a reliable source, if the revenue for the government, new tax laws would reduce in reliability as legislated exemptions grew. The tax collection and tax audits were intensified, computerization was introduced, and corruption was relatively reduced, which improved trust of BIR in general. During the Aquino's administration, both tax and revenue effort rose, increasing from 10.7% in 1985 to 15.4% in 1992. Greater political stability during the administration of Fidel Ramos in 1992 allowed for continued economic growth. Ramos' administration ventured into its own tax reform program in 1997 through the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, which was implemented to make the tax system broad-based, simple, and with reasonable tax rate. Minimize tax avoidance allowed by existing flaws and loopholes in the system. Encourage payments by increasing tax exemption levels, lowering the highest tax rates, and simplifying procedure. And rationalize the grant of tax incentives, which was estimated to be worth 531.7 billion pesos in 1994. The VAT base was also broadened in 1997 to include services through Republic Act 7716. The features of the improved VAT law were also follows: restored the VAT exemptions for all cooperative, agricultural, electric, credit or multi-purpose, and others, provided that the share capital of each member does not exceed 515,000 pesos, expanding the coverage of the term simple process by including growling and roasting, effective narrowing the tax base for food products. So, expanded the coverage of the term original state by including molasses. So, exemption from the VAT are the following: importation of meat, sale or importation of coal and natural gas in whatever form or state, educational services rendered by private educational institution duly accredited by the Commission on Higher Education or CHED, house and lot and other residential dwellings valued at 51 million and below, subject to adjustment using the Consumer Price Index or the CPI. List of the residential units with monthly rental per unit of not more than 58,000 subjects to adjust using CPI. Sale, importation, printing or publication of books and any newspaper. These are the exemptions from the VAT. So, Joseph Estrada. 1998 was too short to continue in exchange in the tax system. So, the Vice President, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, was swept to power through another EDSA revolution. So, she undertook increased government spending without adjusting tax collections. This resulted in large deficits from 2002 to 2004. The government had to look for additional sources of revenue, and in 2005, the expanded value-added tax or EVAT was signed into law as Republic Act 9337. So, this expanded the VAT base, subjecting to VAT energy products such as coal and petroleum products and electricity generation, transmission and distribution. Selected professional services were also taxed. In February 2006, the VAT tax rate was also increased from 10% to 12%. So, President Benigno Aquino, as the president succeeded, he promised that no new taxes will be imposed, and additional revenue would have to come from adjusting existing tax. The administration ventured into the adjustment of excise tax on liquor and cigarettes, of then sin tax reform motivation for which was primarily fiscal, public health, and social order related consideration. Republic Act 10351 was passed, and government revenues from alcohol and tobacco excise taxes increased. Collections from tobacco and alcohol in 2005 made 1.1% of the gross domestic product, and the improvement in the tax collection resulted in the Philippines receiving a credit rating upgraded into investment grade status. The sin tax reform was an exemplar of how tax reform could impact social services, as it allowed for the increase of the Department of Health budget triple in 2005, and free health insurance premiums for the poor people enrolled in PhilHealth increased from 55.9 million on 2012 to 515.4 million in 2005. Rodrigo Roa Duterte. He promised tax reform, particularly in income taxes, as it vowed to lower income tax rates shouldered by working Filipinos. The present income tax scheme of the country is the second highest in Southeast Asia, and the current low and income taxes were outdated as they were drafted 2 decades ago. So, the proposed tax reform also seeks to limit VAT exemption and on increase excise taxes on petroleum products and automobiles. It is hoped that reforms in the country's tax policy will result in the much desired economic development that will be felt even by the lowest classes society. So, okay, that's all. Thank you so much for listening.